Everyone, welcome back. More mobility videos. This afternoon I've got something slightly different planned for you guys. I've been receiving a bunch of inboxes and messages asking specifically about recovery, so methods, how to do it, how frequently you should do it, and what exactly entails, and asking also what I do. So I thought I'd upload a quick video today giving you guys some basic advice on recovery, because that's part of the reason why we mobilize in order for recovery. So what I wanted to do, I had planned for us to go through a couple of long isometric positions, so like a long hold that we're going to work through for a few minutes, and I'm going to talk you guys through a few different elements of recovery. Let's get stuck in. So you're going to need no mobility equipment today, again just a mat. So our first position is going to be an extended hip flexor pose. So this is going to be a dragon on the left side with our leg actually elevated. So notice how my leg isn't on the ground in the back. It's going to make it slightly more intense. Okay, so I'm going to hold this for 90 seconds, going to take a quick rest, and going to hold it for another 90 seconds, so 3 minutes in total. Now, some of the questions I've been receiving have been asking about specific types of recovery, why we do it, and how often to do it. So it might seem like it's pretty basic, but thought I'd take a second to talk you guys through it in any case. So recovery for me comes down to two different types of recovery. There is sort of physiological recovery that actually focuses on improving your body's overall sort of feeling, and that could be things like improving the muscle length. That could be things like getting a bit of blood flow into a region to sort of improve your DOM, so your delayed onset muscle soreness. So that first type is physiological recovery. And I also wanted to talk about emotional recovery, so being stuff to do to sort of unwind and unload a bit of stress. So the first type of recovery I'm going to talk about is specifically physiological recovery, and we've got 30 seconds in this position. So a physiological recovery is stuff we do with the sole intention of feeling better afterwards than what we did before. This could be after a particularly big week of training or sitting or something like that that has put some stress on your body. And 10 seconds. What I wanted to sort of explain was how often to do this and why to do it. So let's take a quick rest there. So knee goes on the ground, and it's going to hold this position for 30 seconds. So this physiological recovery usually happens on active rest days, which for me are Thursdays and Sundays. So after I've had a long week of training, I like to do some active recovery. This usually takes place in forms of a sort of long-ish, slow, low intensity bike ride, swim, hike, that sort of stuff. So some low intensity stuff just to sort of get a bit of blood flowing back into my muscles, and just to sort of try work out some of the muscle soreness that I've had from the week. So that'd be my first type of recovery, is an active recovery. All right, let's get that back leg back up again for another 90 seconds. So active recovery for me, again, low intensity swimming, low intensity bike ride, a hike, something like that, just with the sole intent of making me feel a little bit better. That's the first part, okay? The second type of physiological recovery that I'll do is either some thermic conditioning. So that'll be either jumping into the sauna or doing things like an ice bath. I specifically don't have an ice bath, but I just live really close to some super cold ocean water at the moment. So for me, another type of recovery that I'll do is I'll either jump into as cold water as I can stand for a few minutes. That is either my whole body or just sort of my lower body. Otherwise, when we're not in isolation, I'll jump into the sauna. I'll jump into the sauna several times a week. And if you'd like to sort of understand a bit more information why I do that, I'll very happily put up some videos on my Instagram, or link you guys with some fantastic scientific stuff as to why the sauna is awesome for recovery. We've got another 15 seconds in this position. But those are some of the types of recovery that I specifically do. So physiological stuff, just going through it again. I'll do some active recovery stuff. Put that leg on the ground for me. Gonna hold this for last 30 seconds. Physiological recovery, so active rest days, like I said, or jumping into a sauna, having an ice bath, those sort of things are fantastic for me. So last couple of seconds, shifting out of that and getting into that right side elevated hip flexor stretch. So 90 seconds, let's get straight into that one. So that'll be what I do. If you'd like to understand a bit more protocol behind the ice bath, or the sauna, again, feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook, whatever you like, or just comment on one of these videos and I'll try to explain why these things are so fantastic to do. So another type of physiological recovery that I do is mobility. So that includes these videos. So if you're a person who sits down a lot or trains a lot, or in actual fact just anybody, over a period of time, as we age and as we work through particular ranges of motion, our muscles, tendons, ligaments will tend to get quite tight. The problem with these tight muscles, tendons, and ligaments is that it makes you more susceptible to injury, potentially, and also will reduce your capacity to get into a good range of motion when you're training. So for example, if I've got super tight ankles, hips, quads, hamstrings, lower back, whatever, and I try then to squat, chances are I'm not going to get into as good a position as possible, and that could potentially injure me. So for my recovery stuff, when it's mobility involved, I'll typically do it after a session. So I'll go through some long holds, exactly what I've been taking you guys through right now. I'm gonna hold this for another 10 seconds and we're gonna drop that knee. So I'll go through some long holds. It could be dynamic, it could be static, really just working through as much of a variation as I can just to try and improve that mobility. And specifically for me, it'd be after a session. Putting that back leg down and just extending that position there. So I'll try to mobilize, again, every day is fantastic, or I'll try to mobilize every second day if I can. For me personally, it doesn't have to be super long sessions. Sometimes you can do long mobility sessions for half hour, 40 minutes on an active recovery day, like a Thursday or a Sunday for me specifically. Otherwise, if it's just a normal training day, as soon as your session is done, just commit to 10 minutes of stretching. Even if it's only 2 or 3 different poses, and let's get that back leg back up for 90 seconds. Even if it's only 2 or 3 different poses, I really encourage you guys to spend that time working through that mobility. It's going to pay off huge dividends. It's going to allow you to work through a better range of motion when you're training. And for me also, I just feel so much better after I've done some mobility. So those are a few of the different types of mobility that I do for physiological stuff. Now, when we're looking at emotional recovery, again, say you've had a super hard draining week of training as well as work and just normal things of life, I like to do some emotional recovery, which is actually quite similar to my physiological recovery. It just has a slightly different focus. So for me, instead of holding super long positions that are a little bit tricky and require concentration, one type, gonna hold this for another 15 seconds. One type of recovery that I'll do to sort of ease up my mindset will be I'll hold one position, an easy position. So that could be a cross shin, for example, which I'll take you guys through a second. Awesome work, guys. Jumping out of that and getting into our next long position, which is going to be our double saddle, okay? So I'll hold a slightly longer position. What I'll do, I'll just talk myself through positively reinforcing some things I've done throughout the week. So this type of recovery usually entails for me, and while I'm talking through it, let's lean back a little bit, open up those quads. So for me, that entails some positive reinforcement, like I mentioned. So things like encouraging myself, things like you've done a really good job this week with your diet, with your recovery, with your training. And on days when you haven't been able to train with the utmost intensity, still encouraging yourself and knowing that what you've done has been fantastic. Part of this emotional recovery will also include breath work. So I'm no expert in this, but I do enjoy doing some Wim Hof stuff. So some Wim Hof breathing technique, which I definitely encourage you guys to research. That allows me just to really focus on my breathing and unwind any stresses I've had from the week or anything that's sort of been on my mind that's training related. So just in summary for that, I'll focus on holding some longer isometric positions, easy ones, like a cross shin, for example, or a saddle like this. I really focus on my breathing, doing some Wim Hof breathing technique, and I give myself some positive affirmation. Things like, this week of training was tough, but you are tougher. Things like, you might not have done the absolute best in the whole world, but you committed to it, and that's fantastic. You are improving, you are getting better. Just some positive stuff like that. I read this expression a while ago that discussed the inner warrior inside you, and this amazing quote looked at how when we say negative things to ourselves out loud, our inner warrior listens and can hear these things that we're saying. Things like, you're inadequate, you're not strong enough, you're not fit enough, whatever it is, and the inner warrior inside you actually starts to weaken a little bit. I know it might sound a little bit airy-fairy. I'm gonna hold this for another 90 seconds, team. Just relaxing into it, opening up. If you can, I encourage you guys to go all the way back. But just saying things within mind that you are going to absorb. So when we say things, our inner warrior is absolutely listening all the time. And if you're feeling yourself with some positive reinforcement, this could be a fantastic way to build more confidence in yourself and some more resilience. On the contrary, if you are feeling yourself with junk, saying things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not fit enough, or whatever it is, this can really damage yourself, your confidence, and your resilience. So that again will be my sort of emotional recovery. So just spending some time with breath work, reinforcing some positive stuff, some self-talk, and just allowing myself to breathe and unwind and disconnect from the day. Lastly, I wanted to discuss how often to do this form of recovery and why it's important. I really believe in holistic health and fitness, and as part of that, by the way, last 20 seconds in this position, I really believe in holistic health and fitness, and part of this is eating well, sleeping well, staying hydrated, as well as taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally and physically. So recovery ties in with that, and like I said, the more recovery you can do, the better your body's going to be. A lot of us, this is my last point, a lot of us like to train like pros but recover like rookies, and I think that is something which is super important for us to focus on. It's like driving a super fast car that hasn't got any brakes. It doesn't make any sense. Coming out of that, guys, and going into our final position, which is going to be a right side cross shin. Taking that time and understanding that your body deserves to be looked after, understanding that you can take, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, take that out and focus purely on yourself, focus purely on your recovery. If you can do this every day, that is fantastic. Otherwise, minimum looking for at least twice a week. Do some active recovery, some emotional recovery stuff, some physiological recovery. And again, those are just some of the ideas. I'm sure there's fantastic methods that you recover with. I'd love to know if you want to comment on this video on YouTube. Otherwise, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I'd love to know what you guys think. If you have any questions about further types of recovery, please message me. I'm super interested in it. And with that in mind, we have our final position, our right side cross shin. Let's swap across for our left side cross shin. Holding this for another 60 seconds. Opening up our ITB and our hips, knees a little bit as well. Holding this final position. Deep breaths. Yeah, if you have any questions about recovery, please let me know. Like I said, I'm no expert, but I do try to uphold a healthy recovery regime where I'm focusing my recovery every sort of second day, if I can get that in every day. Okay, that is it for me. And these are our final 30 seconds in this position for today. Let's breathe. What I want you guys to do, I'll teach you some basic breath work that you can do when you are mobilizing. We're gonna have 5 seconds inhalation, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds exhalation. So I'm gonna go 5 seconds in, holding for 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then exhale for another 5 seconds. Holding that breathing pattern for several minutes is going to be fantastic. So working through that one more time. Breath in for 5 seconds. Holding for 5 seconds. And exhaling for 5. Fantastic. Count that in your head and repeat that for as long as you can while you're going through some active recovery or whilst you're holding good position and just working through some positive self-talk. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do, and look forward to taking you guys through a conventional mobility video tomorrow. See you guys then.